T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Trap Talk, Reptile Network, coolest reptile network in the world, episode 490. Damn it, just realized it's 10 episodes away from the big 500. But what is good, everyone? Happy Tuesday. All in the Tree Tuesdays, my favorite day of the week. It's been that pretty consistently now. I'm not going to lie. I love this day of the week because there's so much to learn about the chondros, the boreal species, the dreamy stuff. You know what I mean? You guys know out there, man. There's so many of you fellow chondro addicts and just lovers, even in the live chats right now. Shout out to all the early birds, man. But what's good, man? If this is your first time hanging out, what is good? I'm your boy, MJ. If you're into keeping reptiles, you want to learn more about them, find out the business side of things, or just overall the well-keeping of a reptile, then this is the podcast/network to be subscribed to, all right? So first and foremost, get the likes up. If you're flexing Texas, like all the guests that we have on the show tonight, man, do me a favor, get the likes up right now. And then hit that subscribe button. If you hit that notification bell, select all, you'll be reminded of every single podcast that is released here from the network. 6 days a week, okay? We don't miss. Soon to be 7. Give me a minute. Sunday's hard, I'm not going to lie, but I'm almost there. But either way, 6 days a week, nonstop reptile content coming at you, all right? Stephen Cush's Corner tomorrow being dropped, 6 o'clock every Wednesday. You can catch a Stephen Cush podcast here from the network, all right? Then you have the main Thursday nights with me, Trap Talk with MJ, and then Friday's all about the colubrids. Saturday's all about the monitors. All right, it's just I love it. And then again, thank you for all the love and support. First and foremost, people out there who listen to the network on all the major audio platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, all the major ones. iHeartRadio, man, thank you so much. All right, you can listen to Trap Talk Reptile Network in over 40 countries. That's epic. Right. So many things to talk about tonight, though. Shout out to US ARC, first and foremost. Second link in description below. Join US ARC. Help these numbers get up. Very important. If you don't know what US ARC is, I left all that information in that second link. So go to usarc.org and become a member today. Now, if you're looking for exclusive content, if you want to support what I have doing more than just watching, all right, if you want to tap in with some amazing people, then do me a favor. Click the very first link in description below. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Patreon family, you get a link to the Discord. Taps with over 200 amazing keepers. And there's an amazing Instagram group chat that is popping 24/7. Best way to market yourself, especially just coming into the game. Telling you, come join the Trap family, you guys. You're going to love it. It's awesome. All right. Tonight's episode is brought to you by my man, one of the guests tonight, Mark Hager from Texas Chondros. One of the best doing it at Texas for sure. You get your yellows and reds from this guy. All right. Tell him you like yellows, he'll hook you up. I'll tell you. He's a big yellow guy, which we'll talk about tonight, obviously. But listen. He has some babies being established right now as we speak. All right. Calico stuff. Amazing heat coming from Mark Hager. So go over to Texas Chondros on Instagram. Go give him a follow. All right. Go to his website first and foremost. And just be ready. All right. He was just on an amazing podcast on a new chondro podcast that's out there called the Chondro Lounge. All right. So shout out to Lucas and shout out to the homie Chuck. What a guest. First guest to have on, Mark Hager. But yeah, man. Tap into Mark Hager, Texas Chondros. Thank you so much, Mark, for the support. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by the Chipper. All right, what you see in my focus cube habitat enclosures, substrate is from the Chipper. #1 COCO substrate in the game. If you go to cocodude.com and put in TrapFam24, you get 24% off the entire order. All right, thank you, Chris, over at Coco Dude. The Chipper, love it. Humidity's on point. And where I'm from, here in the West Coast, I battle humidity every single effing day, man. It's no joke, day by day. All right. Also, listen, what's not a joke is making sure you feed your reptile one item of prey. That is not player at all. We're 2024. All right. That's one thing I recommend. Implement that quail. Get that #1 quality quail from my boy Blake over at Blake Exotic Feeders. Okay. If you actually follow him on Instagram and hit him up personally, he'll hook you up. I'm telling you right now, he's building a customer base just coming up in the game. And I appreciate you, Blake, for supporting the Trap. All right. I've been following Blake for a few years now, and it's just awesome to see him supporting what I'm doing. And because he's just one of the best guys doing it on YouTube as well. So thank you so much, Blake. Again, Blake Exotic Feeders, #1 quail in the game, no third man, getting it straight from the source. This guy breeds all the quail himself. So thank you again, Blake. Find his information in the description below. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by the Reptile Perch. David Brahms coming to Trap Talk all in the Tree Tuesday soon. I don't know. Maybe. I'll let you know soon enough. But for now, go to reptileperch.com and get your arboreal snakes on these perches designed by David Brahms. #1 PVC perches that you could get for your arboreal species. He also makes awesome perches for inside the tubs, for raise ups and whatnot. So you'll be surprised what snakes would actually use a perch. Almost any snake would use a perch. So David Brahms been doing it, man. Definitely one of the best, like I said. So thank you so much, David Brahms. Also has amazing chondros that he breeds and whatnot. He's having an amazing season as well. You have to wait till when we bring him back on. But yeah, man. Listen, last but not least, shout out to the Reptile Talks. I will say I am beyond excited to see two of my biggest mentors in the game speaking at this event. All right, Bill Stiegel and Socrates. All right, pulling up to SoCal for the Reptile Talks happening in Anaheim, California next weekend, May 17th and 19th. Still not late to register. So make sure you register. Okay, make sure you follow the Reptile Talks on IG and just be ready. This is going to be a one-of-a-kind event thrown by Jay Summers, the homie Rami. Okay, this is actually a big collaboration with the Reptile Super Show. So it's going to be real deal Holyfield. But you can actually go to the reptiletalks.com. You can see the speakers, the schedule, and you can also register there as well, like I was saying, okay? But like I said, the man is even looking ready for the event. Here he is, the mayor of Chondro Town, who will be speaking at the Reptile Talks, Bill Stiegel. How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing great. Good to see you, MJ.
Tuesday night, man. Hey, listen, I'm not joking. One of my favorite nights of the week, I will say. I look forward, not that I don't look forward to the other episodes, but maybe it's just because there's so much to learn still doing what we're doing here, and I love doing this. Thank you for being here consistently. I appreciate you, Bill.
You bet. I look forward to it. Going to miss Marshall tonight, but we've got, I think, some pretty adequate fill-in for him, I would say.
Don't you think he kind of changed ever since the albino? Like he's big fucking like now he's like all these like podcasts. It's like very out there on social media. Like man, he started a YouTube. What's going on with this guy?
Did you see his post about the albino 8 on its own?
I'm happy. That's very like that has to be fucking next level excitement for him.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty happy about it. I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
I was going to say you were mentioning the Reptile Talks, and yes. I can't wait for that. That's literally 10, 12 days away. So I'm going to be out in your neck of the woods on Friday. Yeah. I'm speaking Saturday morning. I think I'm the second speaker slated for the 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday. So right. I'm going to be out there Saturday morning. And you mentioned David Brahms. He is also one of the sponsors of the Reptile Talks.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he's got, I guess I have a publication that's going to come out and have kind of a summary of all the talks. And I put together a little 1-page blurb about my talk. So I'm assuming everybody else did too. And in that publication, there's sponsors and he's one of the sponsors. So give him another shout out.
I mean, what a good guy to have supporting whatever it is that you're doing, and this, I feel like one of the biggest blessings in this hobby is meeting some of the best people that you wouldn't have met if it wasn't for working for reptiles. But I mean, if you're doing it right, they'll support you and they'll sponsor you. Like that's kind of like what a beautiful place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I get to pay it back because as you know, I'm a big user of his products, and I'll certainly throw him some bones during my presentation. A lot of the stuff that I use, every day comes from David. So I've got some slides that'll show that as well.
Well, listen, speaking of giving back, tonight's episode is special, very special. Now, technically, you would be dropped in later, but you're my ride or die. You're my co-host on this thing, so you need to kind of share what I'm about to say. Also, because you have done so much, Bill. First and foremost, just by giving so many people the time of day with little bits of information that could take people far. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying you're like, obviously you're not the birth of giving information. Like the thing is, you just been really good about it, where you have other people like the people on the show who do the exact same thing. And because of giving information, looking after people, all it does is help the entire thing that we're doing grow. And as you can see, I mean, shout to Lupe, okay? Space Chondros. out there in Texas.
Space City Chondros.
My bad. Shout out to Lupe, man. But you know what I mean? Like, look at this guy in his first season breeding chondros and what he's producing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know. All I'm saying is we have a lot to give to the chondro keepers of Texas. I got to say, you know, and the mayor himself. So this is going to be an epic episode tonight.
I think so too. I'm really happy for him. I saw some of the stuff he's been posting, and just like it just seems to just carry on and just overflowing, you know, with, and you mentioned more podcasts coming online now. I think there's like 4 podcasts now, you know, devoted to green tree pythons. So a far cry from, you know, just a few years ago.
Well, there's still 93 ball python podcasts. So there's a ways.
Yeah, we're catching up.
Day by day. Listen, lots of people in the live chats tonight. I appreciate you all, but I'm ready to get this going. I want to get people all tapped in, the other guests. Are you ready, Bill?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, guys. Listen, if you're in the live chats, don't be shy with the super chats. Drop a super chat with any question or any topic. But it is time. All right, guys. Hope you guys are ready for an amazing episode. This is episode 490, the All-American Chondro Keepers of Texas. Coming at you right now. Let's go.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, God love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
And we're live, episode 490 with the All-American Chondro Keepers of Texas. What is good, gentlemen? How are we doing?
What's going on?
Hurry up. Everyone say it before Patrick talks. Hurry up. Say hi. Hurry up. Hurry up. Hurry up. Say hi.
It's a full house tonight. I love it.
Man, it is big in here. I got to tell you, I'm excited to have all you guys here. First and foremost, you know, Mark Hager, tonight's sponsor. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for being here, Mark.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me. It's you know, even though we can do this like on any evening of the week with the Texas crew, if we ever wanted to, it's nice to get on here and see everyone face to face and just chat for a little while. So thanks for having me on. What's up, guys?
We just did it 3 weeks ago.
I know it feels like we're just gonna rehash the same conversations, huh?
Listen, I wasn't there 3 weeks ago, and I've been in the same area at Bill's house with all you guys, and I know that vibe. It's something that would definitely give me FOMO for sure. But Mark, first and foremost, sick room, buddy. I love it. First time you're on Trap Talk in your new room, and I'm saying you look great. The video quality is on point, best I've ever seen.
Thanks,
job.
man.
I'm proud of you.
So my dad and I have been building this room together, and I am so freaking excited to like start to show it off. Like once I get it all decked out, I've got big plans for it, and man, I can't wait to unveil everything to people. So it's gonna be sick.
I have to ask you before we get to the other gentleman. I have to ask you: are you already having animals in there? Like, is the room already up to standard to where you feel comfortable, like where you could just put all your breeder stuff in there, or has that not happened yet?
So right now I have my babies and my grow outs in here, and I have the Solomon Island tree boas in here. I don't have my adult green trees in yet because I'm working on getting some new cages, and like I figured if I'm gonna get new cages, then I shouldn't bring down the old ones just yet. So yeah, we've got some cool stuff planned, and I'm working it. So
yeah, I mean, listen, I want to ask you that because a big topic I want to bring up is like, moving older females, and like, what are the odds of stuff, not happening because we're moving too quickly. Like we all talked about how Bill first didn't breed chondros the first year he was in his new building, and that kind of maybe helped him from some disaster, but we'll get into it. And again, thanks for tapping in with us, Mark. I appreciate you so much. Patrick fucking Holmes, who got his dinner in right in time. He's good. Salmon and strawberries, huh, buddy?
Salmon and strawberries.
How he stays clean, bro. I mean, this guy, you just chiseled for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Do you eat anything else for the rest of the night, or is that that's it?
I mean, it was 12 ounces of salmon, so that's like 70 grams of protein, and little strawberry for dessert.
Damn. All right. Well, listen, how you doing, buddy? How's everything going? Thanks for being here. Always could count on you, Patrick. But how you living, buddy?
I am tired as fuck and overwhelmed because I have way too much going on, but I have to every time I feel like I might think about complaining about anything like that, I just have to spin around in one of any of these like multiple snake rooms that I have and just remind myself that I'm doing all this shit for a reason, and it's I chose this life.
That was quite the flex right now. Just so you know. Yeah, awesome, man. Now, when you say like life is, hectic, I mean, it's not the amount of babies that you're establishing, is it?
I've had a pretty good time with babies so far this year. I do have one new clutch. So I've hatched 3 clutches so far this year, and the first 2 were really, really easy, except for one baby from the first clutch is still giving me some issues, but everything else ate on the first attempt or damn near from the first 2 clutches. The second clutch, there are 8 of them, and I got 5 out of the first round that I tried to feed. 7 had shed, and 5 out of those 7 ate first try. So they're coming along pretty well too, but it's mostly just, it's busy season at work. I have as most of y'all know, I have a full-time job. I have another part-time job, and I have 9 million snakes. So it's a lot of work. I have my physical practices that I do as well. And so, my biggest problem is not getting up in the morning and grinding. It's going to bed early enough. Is my biggest issue. So
you're not complaining though, right?
Not complaining at all. I also I brought this up as when I talked to you a minute ago. Before I forget, I want to give that little shout out today on the subject of local chondro guys. Today is Ryan Glenn's birthday.
Shout out to Ryan.
So happy birthday, Ryan. Ryan is fairly low key. He is on Instagram. He's Black Bart Herpetoculture. Yeah. He has a fucking sick chondro collection and a bunch of badass arboreal vipers, and he's breeding chondros and breeding vipers. Ryan's just a good dude. We all know him and love him. So happy birthday, Ryan! And y'all go check him out on Instagram.
Yeah, and if you're familiar with Bill Stiegel's work, you'll know right away that there's a connection with Phoenix Reptiles and Ryan Glenn and some collaborations, or did he buy something from you, Bill, and then produced it? Like how is there some of the stuff going on between you two?
I think his first green tree clutch was a female that I produced, and he bought from me, as a baby a long time ago.
Nice.
And then
he has a sickness sib.
Yeah, he has a sickness sib, a female. That's right. Yes. And Patrick's right. He's a good kid. I don't know if Alex has ever met him. I know Mark has.
I met him.
Alex.
Yeah.
He's real good young man, and I've known him probably pretty close to as long as I've known Mark and Patrick. Pretty long time.
Damn. So we're talking, what, over 10 years at this point? Almost 15?
15 years. 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 Yeah, I think that's about right.
Yeah.
You know,
That's- That's
I've
scary.
known Bill for 15 years.
yeah.
I mean, it just seems like, doesn't that seem like it went by fast? Like, I don't know, but I'm going on this is my 7th year. And just to think you guys already known each other double that, I don't feel like I've been here long. I really don't, you know? So I don't know, 15 years, man. That's pretty
weird.
solid. But what's awesome is like, you know, what kept you guys together this entire time, the Chondros, you know what I mean? And it's just, and Texas is Texas. One thing, you know, why Mark is really known for what he is other than his work is like he puts other Texans on. That's, you know, that's it. Obviously, you don't put no other fucking, you put it right. It's like you have a rule, right? Like nobody from Cali, nobody from Florida, nobody from the East Coast. You just do Texas, right, Mark? I'm not trying to, you know, pick any bone. I'm just saying that's your thing, right?
Yeah, I do some pretty serious vetting before I post anyone's stuff. So I'll put some of the people on the story, and you know I'll let.
No,
them
you
hang out
definitely
for a
show
little
love
while,
in the
but-
story, buddy. But I'm talking about, come
Yeah.
on, you're the main, you're like your resume, buddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, if it's going on the feed, then it's Texas only. So yeah, if you start letting it out too far, then
Yeah,
you
it gets out of
lose
control.
all control. So keep it local, keep it Texas, and man, we'll do it better than anyone else. I guarantee it.
That's a fact.
Yeah,
Well, Pat,
speaking of Texas, shout out to Steven Saltzman for hooking me up with this
Yeah,
badass
sick.
Cosmic Chondros t-shirt.
is that new? Did he just drop that, or he's had that shirt out for a while?
I'm not sure. I got it from him a few weeks back. I don't know how long he's had these for, but it's dope.
That's
I
tough.
like it.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
That's hard. All right, well, Patrick, thanks for being here tonight. We're gonna get to Alex Warren now. Alex, how you feeling, buddy?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm excited for this episode. You know, like you said, Tuesdays are the best days, best trap talk days.
For sure, bro. Now,
in
why
the-
are you in your living room?
Yeah, I'm in the living room tonight because I got a gravid female that's having her pre-lay shed right now. So a couple weeks out, and hopefully we'll get another good clutch going.
That's gonna be your first of the year, right?
Yeah, first and only of the year. I'm ready to give it another crack. You know, as much as I help Bill establish Neos, and you know he'll just let me do my own thing. It's different whenever it's your clutch. You know, it's a different feel, and I'm excited to get another crack at it.
Yeah, you know, it's a good like thing to actually ask you guys is that different feel of having your own clutch. And you know, for instance, it's obvious we have Alex Warren, who was mentored by Bill, and that's kind of how that started, right? But let's start with you, Mark. Like who were you very close with to where like you were sharing your first clutch experience with, like either calling over the phone or like, hey man, like this is fucking happening now. Like I'm just wondering like who that was for you, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was Bill. You know, I've shared this on several podcasts before that Bill and I basically got into green trees together. We got our first green tree pythons around like probably within a couple months of each other, and so some of it was sharing it with Bill, but man, the main place where everyone shared any success or failure or anything was just the MVF. So the Marilia Viridis forum was like, that was the hub of all things chondro. And so, man, if anything happened, you posted it up there. And man,
MVF's not around no more, right? Or what's to do with that?
It's still around. It's inactive. There's
Not active.
Yeah, there's no one on it, but it's still a great tool. Like if anyone wants to learn, like the lingo, the lineage, the history, like if you want to go search for a certain snake that you've heard the name of before, or if you want some pictures of some of the like legendary chondros, go on the MVF, and the search function on there will bring you up a ton of threads that have anything related to it. So yeah, that it was amazing to be in while it lasted, and now unfortunately it's kind of a thing of the past, but we didn't have podcasts and stuff back then, so you know, yeah, take one for the other, man. I like talking to people face to face. This is pretty fun.
But yeah, but also from what I understand, guys, last last time I checked, the MVF, or not MVF, but overall the Chondro community wasn't so open about mistakes. Like maybe, I guess you had some people, right? But it's not as talked about as it is nowadays, right? Like you do have people on this show and other podcasts who are a lot more open about a lot of the mistakes that they've made. But I mean, back then, wasn't it a little bit more hush hush, or was it the MVF you had to go to find out the real deal shit? I mean, whoever wants to talk on that.
I think some of it is just like, man, we chalked a lot of stuff up to the phrase of chondros being chondros. And so it was like, man, we don't talk about a lot of the, like, the stuff that we didn't know about. And so it was like, a chondro died. Okay, well, yeah, okay, that happens. And that was just it. And so a lot of the failures just kind of got swept under the chondros being chondros rug.
Of all of us, Patrick was probably most involved with the MVF because he was in it longer than Mark, I, and certainly Alex. The MVF was kind of coming towards. It seems like it was kind of coming towards its closure. You know, not too far. I wasn't too far into Green Trees, and all of a sudden it seemed like, the social media was taking over, and the groups, the Facebook groups and Instagram, I don't think, had come around yet, but Patrick, I'm sure, remembers the MVF days better than I do.
Yeah. I definitely was not around early in the MVF. After mid 2012, I was gone for a while. So, but I lived on the MVF. I spent almost all of my time on the internet, on the MVF or on iHerp, which is also still a thing. Or the first Facebook Chondro group that anybody paid attention to is still there, and it was an Australian group called the Chondro Room. It's not very active now, but I spent a lot of time on there because a lot of that had all the Australian guys, and a lot of American keepers started coming into that. But yeah, on the subject of sharing failures, there was plenty of that in the MVF, but also people do keep things private, and for various reasons, some of them good reasons and some of them not good reasons, and but everybody's got their reasons. And I still, to this day, usually in private messages, whether it's something that happened to me or more often something that happens to somebody else, I still say, man, fucking chondros. Because
Alex and I say a lot too.
Yeah.
I still have mysterious shit go down. I still have, I've lost animals. I've lost animals recently that I don't have a clue. I've got some stuff going out for necropsy. As soon as
Pause. Wait, what? You lost some emeralds? You have to be
animals. I lost some animals.
I mean, that still sucks, but still, I thought you said emeralds. My heart dropped.
No, look. As a little side note, healthy emeralds are, while husbandry for me is identical between emeralds and chondros, healthy emeralds are much less prone to random problems than green tree pythons are.
Yeah, mine been pretty sturdy. You're right. I mean, I've been happy. Yeah.
Now you can, with emeralds, just like chondros, you do increase your chances of hang-ups when you're breeding them. But my emeralds are they're like forget about them animals. They're I don't have any issues. I have wild caught and captive bred. I've got wild caught emeralds, 2 wild caught females, captive bred male, captive bred babies that I produced. I've got 7 basins, all obviously captive bred, and they're all forget about them snakes. Super, super solid animals. But no,
but Patrick, tell the story about the chondro, the baby chondro that broke its neck while it tried eating.
That didn't happen to me.
I thought you told me that. You had a chondro basically snap at the pinky so hard that it broke its neck and it died.
No, but I've known people who that has happened to. I've had people where they had animals break their jaw, but that never happened to me. I did have a female one time a female Biak fracture her jaw striking at the cage.
Yeah.
Biaks hit harder than any other chondro. I mean, it's a different thing. But
I almost broke my jaw looking at Lupe's Neos today.
No shit, dude. No shit. Can we just like double and triple shout out Lupe?
Yes, dude. Congrats,
clutch.
man.
It might go down as clutch of the year. Holy moly!
Yeah. There's some smokers in there for sure, and that cross, that VV times GG cross, is where it's at, man. That's the way to take an established bloodline of potent blue animals and outcross it to the perfect outcross of a line that has potential for blue that has no established blue blood in it. That's how you maintain a bloodline, and you maintain the potency and the integrity of the line simultaneously. And he may be the first person to have crossed those two lines successfully, and that's perfect blue. That's how you do it.
Yeah, those things looked unreal.
I mean, speaking of unreal though, Patrick, the snake that you've that you're holding in this thumbnail, I'm just curious, what's an update on that snake? Because I know it's kind of a recent addition and whatnot, and is that snake still solid? What's going on with that snake?
Yeah, she's doing great. She's in the adult room. She tested negative for Nido 4 times or whatever. She stayed at my shop like everything else does for a while, and now she's in a PVC cage in the room, and she's just chilling. Go ahead.
What are you pairing to her?
I have a couple of different ideas for her, so I'll just leave it at that. Something that will support the best of what a Biak outcross can do. You guys will like it when I show it. So, but on the subject of, we'll circle this back around to the subject of failures. I'm too superstitious to talk about pairings before I have healthy babies on the ground. It's just a thing. I do it privately. I send pictures to everybody. I send pictures to every single one of you guys. But I don't talk about that stuff with the babies until they're healthy babies on the ground. You see me go live on Instagram. If you see a picture that I posted of a snake on eggs or snakes locked up, those babies are already on the ground, or I wouldn't have posted the pictures. And it's not that I don't share failures. Ask anybody who talks to me privately, or when I'm talking about, even on these podcasts, talking about stuff in the past, I'm super open about it.
Yeah.
The reason I don't post every time I lose a snake or fail to hatch eggs or whatever is because I have a massive collection, and half of them are chondros. And if I posted every time something unfavorable happened, it would wear you guys out. Yeah.
Well, because it's just wearing out to even share, like because you get bombarded with all these questions and like, what do you think you did wrong? What do you think you did wrong? Like, dude, shut the fuck up. But like, also that's what you get for putting it out there too. So it's kind of like, dude, I hear you.
But here's the thing: when I'm helping people, the biggest resource that I have for helping other people, which I do publicly and privately every single day, the biggest resource that I have is all of my fuck ups and failures. That's the best thing that I have to help people to be successful, is to say, well, don't do this, and but
you do everything right and still have bad things happen. I think that's just important to share your fuck ups.
Yes.
Let people know, you can do everything right and bad things still happen.
Yeah.
Yep. But
and
how do you advance without bad stuff happening to you? You know what I mean? It's that's why you got to embrace it in a sense, because it's one thing you won't ever forget. And I know you guys all have had chondro experiences you'll probably never forget. You know what I mean? That's what they do to you.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's the balance, right? It's the challenge to reward ratio. And that's everything in life. The most rewarding things are the most challenging. Think about rearing a human child. I don't have any kids. That's like the most challenging thing ever, but it's the most rewarding thing, right? It scares the shit out of me.
Me too.
Yeah, that's the right answer.
Yeah.
That's the right answer.
Well, I think the perfect example of that is, what just happened to Bill with these past couple clutches. Bill had this amazing 16 egg clutch hatch out perfectly, 100% hatch rate, and 100% of them ate right off the bat. And then the next clutch was a complete shit show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit show went down today, actually.
Went down today. The female died after she laid. She scattered the clutch was not good. We lost, and I say we because it was mine and Bill's female, and the clutch kind of crashed right off the bat. It was a 12 egg clutch, and 4 of the eggs died during incubation, and they started hatching out. Was it yesterday, Bill, or was it 2 days ago?
It's been 2 days ago. Like we got the first pip.
Yeah.
Right on time, like day 49.
Yeah, they started hatching out, and only 2 made it out, and
ended up with two alive.
Two alive, and the rest are just died in the egg, almost full term. We cut the eggs open, and it looked like there was some yolk sacs, and some might not have been fully developed, but a lot of them almost made it to full term.
And the most frustrating thing for me is the ones that crawl halfway out and die.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they self-pip, they stick that head out, they look around, you think tongue flicking even, looking good, come in the next day.
That's a big pill to learn how to swallow too, Bill. Like to have to eventually continue and let that go, it fucking is not easy. I'm telling you right now, shit is that's irritating, bro.
It's one of those things like, I just said it earlier to Patrick, things happen and it's not always your fault. And, like Alex said, that clutch was incubating right next, just, 10 or 11 days later than the absolute perfect clutch. I can't think of a size clutch that I had 16 eggs, 16 hatched, 16 ate right away. I mean,
but Bill, let me ask you, you've had plenty of other times where those egg boxes were right next to each other before.
Sure. I know this is just the way it goes, but earlier in my history, or maybe some people that are working with their first couple of clutches, they just assume they did something wrong. I should have cut on day 49. What was I thinking? That was so stupid. Or, my box got too dry, or my box got too humid. I killed this clutch. And well, not necessarily, man. These things just happen. And I think I mentioned on the last podcast, I listened to that podcast about Python eggs and incubation with that guy from Arizona State University with Eric and Owen. And I really learned
to go do that.
I really learned a lot about what's going on with those eggs, what's going on with the timing. So much of it happens inside the mom. You think an egg, once it's laid, this egg, and they're both, there's a big difference on what's going on in mom, with how that egg, or even if the babies hatch, the survivability, the viability of those baby creatures, so much has already happened that you have, a lot of times no control over.
Yeah.
I need to catch that episode. I do say the fucking chondros thing frequently, but I also obsess about what I may have done wrong. And when I say fucking chondros, it's not a cop out. It's it's just kind of throwing my hands up a little bit, and it's part being cynical and part just, it is what it is. But I will also say that there is definitely something to be said for the people who, you can sometimes learn things from the people who do obsess about the mistakes. And I'll give you a great example, and also an example of why you should never think that you know everything and never discount information coming from somebody with less experience than you. Twice, Garrick has commented on something in private messages, and Garrick obviously has produced a bunch of amazing snakes and he's got some experience under his belt, but you know, he's been doing it for a few years, and obviously I have a lot of experience. But Garrick is super meticulous, like really, really meticulous about his note keeping. And when he messes up, he takes it very seriously and he looks at every little thing. And I've gone back and forth with him on stuff issues that he had. And he's really, really obsessive about what might have gone wrong. And so there's been two different times where he suggested something to me that I was potentially overlooking. And recently, a thing that he pointed out to me was just him, you know, I shared this recent clutch. He produced the sire of my most recent clutch. I just hatched out some Chronos Siren times Sauron babies. Mm-hmm. And I got 18 perfect eggs and no slugs, and I only hatched out 9 of them, and the rest were dead in the egg, and only 1 was underdeveloped. The other 8 that were dead, some of them actually hatched and died right outside of the egg, which, like you said, is the fucking worst. Yeah. Especially when they're perfect. But something that I did not think about is that of the 3 clutches that I've hatched out this season, the adults are in different rooms. And Garrick just made a comment to me about, because when I shared that with him, what happened, he starts bombarding me with questions. Well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And if I'm emotional, I want to like ignore it and be like, I know what I'm fucking doing. It's not any of those things, but I don't do that. And I listened. And one of the things he pointed out had to do with temperature of females while they're gravid. And I'm like, you know what? The cages that these females were basking in that room don't have the same type of ventilation as the ones in the other room. And I'm not as meticulous about checking temperatures in that room. And so now it's got me reevaluating things, because he made me realize that every clutch I've ever gotten from a female that was in that part of the room has had a less than favorable hatch rate. And now I'm like, man, like there's probably something to that. So shout out to Garrett for being like psychotic level meticulous about these things.
Patrick, you're thinking ventilation was the problem?
I think that ventilation, insufficient ventilation, and also the positioning of the heat panels over there. I don't think the females have. I think maybe they're getting a little bit too hot where they're basking, and that's causing problems before they even lay the eggs.
And MJ, just have that same problem?
Yeah, Alex, I did. Thanks. All right, dude. It's not about me, Alex. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, so no. Respect. Listen, I talked to Garrick too, man. It's the exact same thing. Because Garrick is that guy I will let know like what's happening. You know, Garrick's a good buddy of mine. I keep him informed like I do all you guys actually. So, but yeah, Garrick hit me up with questions, and I had anxiety for sure. Like when he was asking me questions, I was like building up, because I was like, check, those things are checked. And the one thing I was fucking up on was my probe position, and all these didn't have their own individual probes. All right. So once I dissected things and looked into it, man, I had things fucking getting cooked. You know what I mean? I just, I'm a visual guy too, and I thought I was reading stuff accurately off the gun, but mainly I didn't see any of my chondros acting like they were uncomfortable or panicking. You know what I mean? And I always thought, if they're sitting doing their thing, then they have to be fine. But some of these snakes would always be under the panel no matter what, And I want to know, what do you think on that, Patrick? Like, I think I talked to Ryan Young about this over the phone, and he told me, regardless of the heat, if that chondro feels like it's safer underneath that panel because it's either dark or whatever, it's going to stay to choose there all the time.
That's a huge problem in the setups that we have, because Ryan is 100% correct. This is more true of juveniles and wild caught animals than it is of established adults, but it still pertains to established adults. Green trees, especially babies and especially imports, and especially young imports, will 100% choose a safe spot a secure spot over proper thermoregulation. They'll do it probably almost 100% of the time. And that could mean they're getting too hot. It could mean they're not getting hot enough. So, you know, that's something to definitely to take into consideration. Now, when you have a cage that's relatively open and adults are established adults, you know, it's going to be less of a factor, but it's still potentially a factor. And there's a lot of like small things that we don't think about like this. Like consider so pro placement, obviously, different. Just because these panels are all the same wattage doesn't mean they're putting off the exact same amount of heat. They don't all run exactly the same. Heat tape is like that. Heat pads are like that. You got to check individual temperatures. The size of the female is a factor for multiple reasons. If you have a bunch of different sized females in the same sized enclosures with the same temps, the larger females are going to be closer to the panel. They're all when they're basking. So then that temperature difference of a ½ inch or an inch can be pretty significant when you're only 6 inches away from the heat panel and it's 84 at the perch, but the panel's, you know, what's the surface of the panel? 130 degrees or something if you temp gun it, right? So also the female's body mass is a factor, like the amount of time it takes her to warm up and cool back down. Those are very, so there's all these tiny little things. And the thing that's really confusing to me when I'm trying to think about my future setups, because I'm working really hard this year to streamline everything so that I have, the more streamlined you are, doesn't necessarily mean everything will be better, but you're eliminating you're controlling for as many variables as possible, the more streamlined you are. So you can check things off. And the big question for me is, I've seen it suggested that a female that's put in a more narrow thermal gradient and kind of forced into that gradient without options, you're controlling more. But then the question is, are the variables you've controlled, are they within the right parameters? And then there's the opposite of that. You give the female a lot of space and let her choose. Then we're back on where we started with this, is she going to choose the right spot? Like, is that spot secure enough for her? So it's tricky, man. Tricky balance.
Yeah. What do you have to say on that, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with really everything that Patrick said, but it's almost like you're working a circle, what's best? What's the right thing? Do you give them a big gradient, let them choose? Do you, narrow down their parameters because you know best? I wish I knew the right answer. I don't.
Yeah.
What you got, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, like, I love listening to Patrick think. Like, Patrick doesn't think in his head; he thinks out loud, and so it's just like, it's cool just to hear him think. And I mean, even like Riley asked the question of preferred perch sizes, and I started thinking, oh dang, like that matters too, because on a wider perch, like, more of the female is like spread out under that heat panel directly, where a narrower perch will be folded over more. And so it's not answering the question of what size perches do you use, but it is one more thing to put into consideration of, man, there are plenty of species out there that, for the most part, keepers have figured out, and green trees is just not one of them. There's still so much to learn, and I don't think you ever fully figure out probably any species, but man, we are still learning so much from our snakes and from so many of the people that keep them, that it's conversations like these that really start, like, it should get your wheels turning. And being like being one of those people that does, like, obsessively check stuff, like whether it's your temperatures, your humidity, your your light cycles, your airflow. Like, man, there is so much value in, like, being someone who's constantly checking, constantly monitoring, constantly writing stuff down and taking notes. Because if you're just like letting it all go by, then you're really not going to learn anything from it. So, man, I love it all. It's got me thinking about my own collection. I'm starting to go. Man.
Here's another thing to think about, and I definitely want. I think this is. I think I asked you a long time ago, not a long time, but a couple weeks ago, Patrick. I wanted you to call me because this was like eating me alive. You know, because you kind of look at some things as some signs of what you could predict out of a female lane, and like, you know, a good size ovulation. You would think sometimes look good, right? Like do you look at big ovulations as a good sign, Patrick? Like when you see that normally, like especially in a BIAC, like you know. Do you normally look at that as like, okay, that's a good sign, or does that not matter to you, the size of the ovulation?
That is an excellent question, and I have an old and recent event that to cast some light on that, or not. My very first chondro clutch in early 2010 was a Kofiau female, and she was a very lean animal. She was probably 700 grams or so. And she had a very subtle ovulation. I have pictures of it. It looked like it was only her behavior and the big U shape. She was hanging and restless and acting like she was ovulating, but the swelling was like she ate a small rat. Like she didn't look like she ate a Nerf football like some of them do.
Right.
And she laid 12 perfect eggs and no slugs and 100% hatch rate on that clutch. And my second to most recent clutch, I won't give too much more information about it, but it was from a BIAC female that is proven and good size, and she had a very obvious big swelling and with her ovulation. And the first time she went for me a couple of years ago, I got not a huge clutch, but a good size clutch. I believe she gave me 13 and I hatched 12, if memory serves. And this time, big ovulation. Didn't see her ovulation last time. May have skipped the prelay last time. This time she had a prelay shed, big obvious ovulation. And I got 1 fertile egg, 4 infertile eggs, and 16 slugs out of her. So
that's what happened with Mimi. The Mimi is the girl who gave me 17 slugs and 1 perfect white looking egg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've had females give huge ovulations with small clutches. I've had females give small ovulations with huge clutches. Yep. And you know, fertilities across the board. And so it always makes me wonder.
Well, guess his internet's not as good as I thought.
He's still wondering. He'll get back to us.
There he is.
Did I tap out?
You're good.
So it makes me wonder when someone makes a judgment call just on seeing an ovulation, and I'm like, I haven't had the evidence to suggest one way or another that a big or a small ovulation is going to result in anything specific.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But I what I will say though is that while I've still been tricked both ways, the way the female behaves afterwards, the closer and closer you get, the more and more you get a feel for what she's going to do. How much is she rolling her coils under the heat panel? Like how actively is she basking? As she gets closer, how much of a toll does it seem to be taking on her? Their heads don't shrink as much when they're going to slug out. The ribs don't show as much. It doesn't cost them as much to produce slugs as it does to fully flesh out and shell out eggs. And, so their behavior and the way they look can tell you a lot as it gets closer. I have never had a female where I was like, oh yeah, this girl's going to give me a big, awesome clutch. And she didn't do it. But I have, on more than one occasion, including my first clutch that I hatched this year, had a female where it wasn't until right at the end that I was even 100% sure she was fertile. And this female was like a 600-gram snake, and she gave me 14 perfect eggs and no slugs. And I wasn't even sure she had anything in her other than slugs until the last like 2 weeks. Tiny little girl gave me 14 big, awesome eggs. So,
wow.
Yeah. Never know,
I had
man.
the same thing happen this year. I had a small female have a decent ovulation, and afterwards I was like, oh man, I think she might have just a couple eggs in her.
Yeah.
Like it's either going to be a small clutch or it's going to be a bunch of slugs. And she's probably 700 grams, and she put out 18 fully fertile eggs, no slugs. And I was like, 18 eggs in that tiny.
Yeah.
Now they were small eggs, and anyone who's hatched large clutches with small eggs will know that that is not what you want.
You want clutches with big eggs.
Big eggs.
I would rather take half the number of eggs, double the size.
Yeah.
Any day.
Patrick, how'd that one egg go though for you? The one that you said one. Go ahead.
That's to be determined.
What day is it on?
I don't even remember.
I like your style.
I don't remember. I really don't remember. I'd have to go look. I don't remember.
Let me ask you this though. Like, on that egg, are you checking the veins like periodically?
Oh yeah. And I'm done candling it for now. What's that?
How are you doing that? Let's talk about how you like to look at the vein development. Like, are you doing a weekly at first?
Yeah.
You start
no. So I candle when I pull a female off of eggs. The first thing I do is make sure that I never, ever, ever put on fucking gloves.
Unless they're pink.
I'm just kidding. I put on nitrile gloves always, and I live in nitrile gloves when I'm at my house. Quick little side note, a tip: if you buy these cheap cotton gloves on Amazon, you got. I'm real serious. Check this out. Buy these cheap cotton gloves. You can wear nitrile gloves on top of these, and you can change out your nitrile gloves really, really fast. And the sweatier you get, the easier it is to get them off, which is the opposite when you don't have them. These things are so cheap, they may as well be disposable. So when I'm working, especially in the adult room now, I wear cotton gloves under the nitrile gloves so I can bam, 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 switch out gloves fast if I need to. Works really, really well.
Good.
So when I...
Go ahead, Patrick. I'm sorry.
When I pull a female, I have a tub full of water sitting right there. Mark, I think you do that too. And I stop soaking females before they lay. I don't like to stress them out. I actually just spray them now when they're gravid, and I'm getting good full pre-lay sheds like that. And but I pull them off the eggs and I put them directly into a soak and then set them aside. I get out, my egg box is already ready to go. Incubator's dialed in, all that stuff is set. And I take the eggs into the room where they're at. That incubator number 1 is in my closet in my bedroom. And so I go down to the bathroom there and I turn off the light and I candle every single one of those eggs with a flashlight. And I mark the embryo with a circle with just a small felt tip pin. And then arrange the eggs in the incubator. And most of the time, you can see excellent vein development, but sometimes the eggs are not so well developed. I'm rarely unsure about an egg and then it comes along later. Most of the time, if I'm unsure, it's probably not good, but definitely there's a huge amount of variability in how developed the eggs are at the point that they're laid, which goes back to what we keep touching on about how much can happen before the eggs are laid. But when those eggs are good, usually within a few days to a week, and I will go back and candle them again, they are, the veins are swelling up and they're starting to develop. The embryos are a little more visible. all of that stuff with. But when they're big and bold from the beginning, sometimes I don't ever candle them again. And I rarely will candle eggs more than twice unless there's something weird going on and I'm curious about whether or not an egg is still good or whatever. But usually just once or twice, and that's plenty. And then it's you know, Godspeed, little guys. We'll see what happens on the other side.
So, but at what point do you stop candling?
Like a weekend, unless there's something weird going on. I'll candle them right off the bat, and then a few days later, and that's it. I don't have any reason to after that. Once they look like they're going to go, I might candle one if it's looking weird, if it's getting wet or looking like it's going bad. I'll candle it just because if it doesn't candle well, then it's pointless to try to save it. You can tell if they have stopped developing sometimes, but if it's getting a wet spot or looking funky and it still candles well, then I'm going to take the measures to try to deal with whatever little issue is going on.
Yeah. You know, and this is crazy too, because, you know, sometimes you look at an egg and you're thinking, oh my God, it's fucking, look how far it's gone. It has to be good. But this gentleman went 54 days on an egg that looked great. Didn't look like shit until he opened it up. So I guess that's another thing too. Okay. You told me one time, Patrick, you know, the last clutch I had that went the distance in a sense, meaning like full term den of the egg distance. But you know, the egg started getting wet. Like the eggs looked fine until like day 50 or something like that. And then we started noticing moisture from the inside of the egg. And you told me this could mean two things. Either that snake is trying to get out and is ready to get out, or that thing's already dead inside, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty accurate still to this day, you would say, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They just tend to get wet when they're going bad. I don't know why that happens, but after the embryo dies, the egg will just start getting wet. But also, as the babies are starting to move around and they're starting to use their egg tooth to scratch on the shell from the inside, then you start getting these tiny little wet specks where the moisture from inside of the egg is starting to seep through while they're trying to hatch. So yeah. When you're at that stage, when it's time and they're getting wet, it's one or the other. They're either about to hatch or they're already dead.
Yeah. And Bill, with your, we'll go to Mark after this, but Bill, with your experience, when you feel it's necessary to cut open an egg, I mean, are you looking for any of that moisture stuff as well? Or are you just like, you wait for that first pip initially and then you consider all the cutting if you have to?
Yeah, I usually just wait till the first pip, and then depending what the egg looks like, I'll pip usually 24 hours. But if the egg's still real full, you know, sometimes at 49 days, you know, the first couple pip, but you got a couple eggs that still look real full, I may let that one go another day. Usually when that hasn't started to sink in like the other eggs, though, it's not a real good sign. You know, you'll cut into that egg and you'll just get a bunch of yolk, and I don't know. I just haven't had good success with those. I like to see that shrunken in appearance of the egg a little bit. But really, I like to see those eggs pip themselves. I'm always nervous about an egg that hasn't pipped within 24 or 36 hours of the rest of the clutch. In fact, that clutch that Alex was talking about, the first clutch we had this year, they pipped and were out of the egg so fast that I couldn't even get them out of the egg box and into the lay box that has the little perches in them. You know, out of the 16, I think 13 were out within 24 hours. I came out, I went to bed, you know, and a couple had pipped, and I come out the next day and 13 are out of the egg, you know, just hanging out in the egg box. So that's what I really like to see. I hate to see these ones that drag. They either self pip, or maybe after 24 hours you pip them and they stay in the egg for days, and it's kind of gut wrenching, and you know, a lot of those babies don't end up doing as well.
What do you have to say, Mark?
Yeah, I'll admit that I used to get super like antsy every time I was hatching chondros. Like, man, you get towards the end and you just get those scissors in your hand. And you're like, I can't wait to see these eggs. Like, what's in them? I just can't wait. And the longer you do this, the more clutches you get under your belt, the more you just like man, the ones that are going to come out are going to come out. And so I'm like Bill, I want to see those heads pip on their own and show me that they can get out of the egg. I do cut like 24 maybe, but usually closer to like 48 hours after the first one pips. Cause man, I want those babies to struggle to get out. Like I want them to put forth the effort to show what's going to happen, because the reality is like, I think cutting the eggs, there can be some merit for it. Like maybe they're missing an egg tooth, maybe they, whatever. But in my mind, that's such a relatively rare scenario. And the reality is you're going to cut open that egg, and then what? You're gonna wait.
You have to wait anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna wait until it comes out. And so, like, man, I always laugh. Like when people are cutting their eggs, and it's like, okay, I cut the eggs. Now what? You're like, well, just put it back where you found it, I guess. Like, there's nothing. You just keep waiting, because you're not gonna yank it out of there. Like, just cut it, or if you do cut it or you don't cut it, you're gonna wait either way. So just wait.
Yeah, because if you do yank it out of there, it's because it's dead.
yeah. If you're ever yanking it out, it's because stuff is going wrong.
That's such a shitty feeling. And Alex, obviously, you have one clutch, right, from last year that you've had experience with, and just remind the people exactly what rolled out for you and what were you able to hold back, and what were some of the nightmares. If you did have any nightmares, remind me. It's been a long time since we talked about it.
Yeah, so I kind of went into the clutch thinking I got this. Like I've had clutch with Bill before. I've established neonates. I kind of went with it pretty cocky, and I got humbled very quickly. She laid 21 eggs, which is a lot for a first clutch, I thought.
It's a lot. It's a big
clutch.
Yeah.
And after everything was said and done, I established 6 neos from that 21. And I basically had the whole array of everything happen. I had a couple die in the egg full term. I had a couple come out and perch and then die. I had a couple prolapse. I had a couple that I just could not get established, like they would not eat. So I kind of just had the full array of things happen. And it's like I really want another crack at it, because I want to see what would happen this time. But I ended up selling 3 of those, and I kept 3. So I mean, I'm glad I got some out to some people, and I get to see them grow up, and I'm glad I get to see some here grow up. But yeah, I'm really glad that I guess I learned a couple things. One thing I'll definitely say is that whenever they started to hatch, there was a pip, and I posted it on my stories, and Patrick was like, okay, you can cut the rest if you want to, just cut a tiny little slit. And I was like, okay. And so I went and I don't know why, but I filleted those eggs open like a ball python. And I cut them open, and I looked in, and I was like, oh, cool, look at that thing, just straight opened it up and looked into it. I don't know why, but that's what I did. And whenever I did that, I put all the eggs back, and I sprayed the tub, and I walked away. I just left it because I was like, okay, I'm not going to bug them. I'm just going to leave them for 24 hours. And I came back, and the tub was kind of dry. And whenever I came back and the tub was dry, there was like about 7 neonates that were very hard and like stuck to the eggshell. And so I think that was a big mistake.
Because I mean, you aired them out basically. There was nothing keeping that snake. You know what I mean?
I dried them out, and obviously they need like 100% humidity. So I think that was a big thing, and it just goes to show that it doesn't matter like how much research or prep work you do, like you're still going to make mistakes. So the best teacher is just doing it yourself. And so I've learned a lot from that. I'm going to make sure that I don't do those things this time, and just ready to give it another crack at it. Another thing I'll say is that was a pure sarong clutch. This next one will be a pure sarong clutch. I'm glad to make those mistakes with pure sarongs rather than my high-end designers.
I think the Chondros aren't that bad if you're really good at fucking paying attention and just not doing stupid shit. That's why I suck at them. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm not that at all. Like I did everything Alex just talked about as far as like, okay, Socrates was my guy who was like, all right, MJ, if you want to cut the rest, cut tiny little slits. And I did exactly what fucking, I don't know why, what made me think, you know, because I thought, I've cut tons of fucking ball python eggs. They're gonna be fine at this. And also it was like day 52. So he's like, they should be coming out any day now, So I'm like, what's it gonna hurt? And it was a selfish fucking cut because I kind of wanted them to come out. Like I was impatient. And this is what the Chondro game will do to you. Any kind of bit of cockiness, impatientness, kind of sharing things when you shouldn't be sharing it too soon type of shit. Oh man, you're going to get kicked in the nads really, really, really fucking hard. And like multiple times too. And I don't know how many, I'm hard-headed, man. Just sometimes you just don't learn. And I got to tell you, man, I don't know how many times I pre-shared something and it all went to fucking shit right after I shared it,
Yeah, well, right now, like this time of the year, this is sharing season. So right now, there are so many people sharing ovulations,
Right.
and then there are about a month ago there were so many people sharing locks, and then now there's a little less people, but still a lot of people sharing ovulations, and then there's a little less people sharing pictures of females on eggs, and then there's a little less people showing those eggs hatching, and then there's a lot less people showing babies for sale. Like it's just how it works, man. And despite what Patrick might tell you, it's not superstitious, stuff. It's just the way things work. Like, man, these snakes, they will humble you real quick. And it like the stuff that Alex is talking about with his clutch, man, I had a clutch 2 years ago that did similar stuff. I had like 15 great eggs, and I sold off some of them, and even I kept 4, and now I only have 2 left because just random stuff. Like one prolapsed and died, and the other just like keeled over out of nowhere for some reason. I don't know what happened to it, but man, it's one of the really fun things about chondros is, man, they really make you work for it. And so they're not this like set it and forget it species. Like, man, they're gonna make you work. They're gonna make you think. They're gonna try you at every opportunity, and that's what makes it fun.
I was wondering earlier in the discussion, how much have we learned, like in the last 30 or 40 years? Like, right? Like, you think, before podcast, when the guys like Maxwell and Trooper and Rico, we're doing this, were they having the same results as us? Were they having worse results, better results? I just don't know how far we've come. How much have we really learned? I think we've learned a lot about keeping them. Right.
But if you really think about it, I mean, Trooper had numbers on his side. Like, he had a lot of fucking reps, right? And isn't everything about the numbers at some point? Like, Patrick, you're talking about you have so much shit going on where if you were to share all the fucking disasters, it would be overwhelming. Like, it would just kind of just be a negative fucking Nancy mode. But you also do have success because of the numbers that you are up against, right? Like, that's kind of in your favor in a sense. And you pay for that kind of shit too.
For sure. There's something to be said for the numbers. There's also something to be said for, and this is my biggest criticism of myself, is doing too much. I'm always trying to do too much. And to get back a little bit, Rico one time told me that if half of his planned pairings took in a year, he thought he was doing really good. And this is a guy who's some years his ID numbers got up into the 200s.
Yeah.
Granted, that's not just green trees. He did.
This is true. He did ball pythons, emerald tree boas, Amazon basin emerald tree boas, Amazon tree boas. But I believe he had a couple of years where he produced over 200 green tree pythons. And I one time asked Rico how many snakes he had, and he didn't know how many snakes he had, but he knew. I want to say that it was something like 800 snakes, but he told me that he had no. He told me he had about 600 snakes, and about 400 of them were green trees. And
God.
so,
Imagine.
and the most I've ever had at one time, and to my knowledge, if somebody has a bigger private collection than I do, I'm unaware of it. And the most I've ever had at once, it was 156.
Damn.
That's crazy.
And
that includes babies and grow ups.
That's that's everything. And but I don't remember the last time that I had less than 300 snakes. Trooper Walsh once notoriously said at the beginning of a talk, "My name is Trooper Walsh, and I've killed more chondros than any of you."
Yeah.
I dare say I have probably surpassed Trooper Walsh's numbers in killing chondros. But the vast majority of the chondros that I've lost were unhatched babies. The vast majority of them. And then number two after that would be adults in the nido room. And so as far for healthy chondros, wild caught or captive bred, and established babies, I have a pretty good track record. But the Gary one time told me that Rico told him this is a numbers game, and if you want to consistently produce green tree pythons every single year, you better have 15 to 20 adults ready to rock all the time. And that's relatively accurate. So some guys do really well with less. Yeah, the 50% rule. Yeah.
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 So 50% of the pairings that you plan will actually take. 50% of those will result in like fertile eggs and clutches and everything. And then you'll have an easy time with about 50% of them, and you'll have a really hard time with about 50% of the babies. Yeah. And so it's just at every stage. Yeah, every stage.
For me, it's the eggs and for a long time I had great success with eggs, and then it's when I tried scaling things up and doing too much is when I started having problems. So that the year that I got the most number of females to go and got the most fertile eggs was the year that I hatched the least, because I had temperature issues related to trying to incubate a whole bunch of eggs at once. And those numbers are rough. They're rough.
That's the thing about the numbers game. It is a numbers game until you get into a certain level where you have so many that you can't do the little things, for all those animals. And then the numbers work against you, I think.
Yeah.
So I've actually brought, I've done what, Bill, I got myself an Alex. I brought somebody on to help me out because I have too much going on. And I'm able to keep my animals healthy, but I'm not able to pay attention to the details that I need to be paying attention to. And so the two things I'm doing to fix that are spending a stupid amount of money with Steven and Ashley at Focus Cube to have a bunch of because streamlined enclosures will save me so much time and give me so much better visibility of my animals, and just be less stressful, and I'll have more time to pay closer attention. And the other thing that I'm doing is getting some help over here. And
good.
I personally think that between what I'm paying for cages and what I'm paying for help, that will pay for itself inside of a year because of improvements and everything overall. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to change
Who's
my
helping you,
life.
Patrick? Someone that you know pretty well?
Yeah, my buddy Zach Gelner. He is working with me at work now, and
That's cool.
Mike is the owner of the company that I work for. He's one of my best friends. He saw Zach at the gym wearing a Cal Zoo shirt and a DFW Reptarium hat, and just went and sparked up a conversation with him.
That's
And
dope.
because Mike's a snake guy too, and so we brought him on to work for us. He's a new employee at my company, but he is also a snake guy. Most of his collection's venomous. He's very young, but he's super knowledgeable and got a ton of experience with a huge array of things. He's imported stuff and dealt with all the nasty things with wild caughts. He's got, like I say, a bunch of venomous. So he's going to be coming over periodically to help me out over here and help me free up my time to pay more attention to the breeding aspects, because the keeping of the species that I keep is relatively simple. The breeding stuff with difficult species, all the nuance to it is what I'm really good at and what I haven't been able to do as well. And on the subject of doing too much also, and what we're talking about, numbers games, I'm just saying numbers right now, but I believe that I could produce twice as many chondros with half as many adults if I was only doing chondros.
Yeah, I mean, changes up the playing field when you have so much other stuff going on. I think Alex, you told me that. I think when I was telling you about what was happening to me this year, or actually before I even started slugging out this year, you were telling me, like, do you think it would be different with your chondro success if you were just breeding chondros? And I kind of thought about that, and I'm like, well, fuck, that's a lot to think about, right? Because I have a million different things pulling me in different directions. And I will say the last 2 years is when I really started paying attention to my chondros and really fucking looking and noticing things. And but yeah, I mean, Patrick, it's kind of different, huh? When you have so many different things pulling you at once.
Yeah. Well, it's easier for you to. I'm seriously plugging them, but it's easy for you to look at all your chondros when you got that beautiful wall of focus cube habitats behind you.
Yeah, for sure. But you got to know how to use the fucking panels. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I run ambient, and I only give supplemental heat to gravid females.
That's what I'm doing now, for sure, 100%.
Well, hey, don't be so hard on yourself, because you're the only person on here that's ever gotten white lip eggs. So
yeah, dude, that's so dope.
That's sick.
Appreciate it. But listen, I feel like you said, I appreciate seeing the success that's happening right now in the chondro community, because at the end of the day, like, I mean, I do this for myself. Like, I want that experience, and more importantly, I want to put my hard work into someone else's hands, like someone I see longevity in. And I think that's really the biggest goal for me at some point, is to produce something that is in someone else's collection doing work. And that's what speaks volumes for all you guys. And because that has to feel good, right? Especially Bill. I mean, holy shit, within the last year and a half, 2 years, Bill has put so much fucking heat in people's collections. Maybe some stuff he didn't know he was doing on purpose, but
that's for sure.
But I mean, come on. I mean, that is probably one of the biggest reward feelings you guys would say, is like, seeing your stuff shared across someone else's excitement on their page. And then not only that, I mean, shit, Bill, you've had people who've gotten neos from you that are sitting on eggs and doing all that stuff like that. That is just a dream for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's super, super rewarding. And it's one of the very few things that I can honestly say that in this hobby or whatever we do that I take pride in. That is what I take a lot of pride in, that when somebody shares an animal that I produce that is now producing animals, I'm like the Ryan Glenn and Lupe's got a clutch.
Yeah.
Another clutch that's hatching right now that I can't remember. Yeah. Sire or dam. I can't remember. It was a Bill's animal.
It was a Bill's. Yeah. He told me it was a Bill's. I think it was, I forgot who it was, but I think it was a Dave D production, or I forget, but it's definitely yours. He shared that information with me earlier.
I can't remember if it was the sire or the dam of the clutch, but yeah, it seems, it's happening pretty frequently now, because I've been, putting animals in the hands of people for a long time now. So it does feel good.
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest, tonight's headline of the show is, is Texas big enough for all these chondro keepers? And what do you guys have to say to that? I mean, with Texas being the biggest state with the chondro growth, do you guys ever feel like it's going to get too much in one state, or what's your guys' thoughts on that?
No, definitely not.
They're so hard to reproduce. It's never going to get too big.
Yeah, I agree.
For all the reasons we talked about tonight, it'll never get too big.
Yeah.
Mark,
too many different people get out for various reasons too. It's not just the snakes. People have life things happen and stuff like that, and sell stuff off or whatever. There's never going to be too many of them.
Yeah,
especially not in Texas.
That just comes down to just the reality of like life. Not everyone could predict longevity for certainty in this, because mind you, like a lot of people get into this as a fucking, I want to try this out, or right, and then you have people who want to go hard in the paint, but then certain things happen in life, and a lot of those people you can't stop that from happening. So just how the numbers really work in life, I think you're right. It's always going to stay at a certain average, but it will still grow, because I will say, man, it's going to get harder to leave a game like the chondro world the more people come in and have success like Lupe. I mean, you don't think Lupe's fucking locked in for life after this shit? I don't see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I was going to say. It's there's part of it that are so addicting, that are such a rush and such a high that it's not one of those species where I've done it for 3 or 4 years and I'm bored with it or I'm tired of it. It just I don't know if I've ever heard that ever.
No, it was so funny. We had a guy from Sweden on last night for new breeder. We're talking about ball pythons and shit, and he's probably one of the biggest spender in the ball python market in Sweden. And he used to breed chondros. And I clicked on one of his pictures, and he's like, "I got sick of that shit so quick." He said, "Fuck." I think he had a little bit of success, and he fucking threw in the towel. And he was like, "It's because he wanted something straightforward like ball pythons. Like ball pythons, a fucking walk in the park." But it also is something that not everyone, like, they can appreciate it, but not everyone wants to go through that shit and deal with it, because you do have the option. You don't have to breed chondros. You know what I mean? You could just keep them for what they are, because like you said, you have to be built a certain way to want to breed chondros, like meaning accept a lot of failures and not have it really fucking eat you up alive.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was. It was either Rico or maybe Maxwell that said, certainly chondros aren't for everybody. That's,
Rico definitely said that.
Yeah.
Definitely not for the faint at heart. I'll tell you that much.
It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a fact. Some, like you said, MJ, some people, they want the consistency, they just want the consistency of success.
Yeah.
To me, that's just not what gets me going. It's hitting a home run or a grand slam instead of hitting a bunch of singles. I'll strike out, willing to take a lot of strikeouts, to hit the home run.
I mean, it's like you said, it's really like, what is your goal in life? Like, do you want the easy fucking straight to the top route, which isn't possible in chondro world at all? Like, there's no, like, you figured everything out your first year. Congratulations, and you just made $1 million off chondros. Like, that's not ever going to be the fucking case, What were we going to say, Patrick? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. I was just going to say the only thing consistent about chondros is inconsistency.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Now, other than that, what would you guys have to say overall? And let's start with you, Mark, because we're listening to Patrick talking about how he's getting help. And we already know, obviously, Alex has been right there for Bill. But do you ever see yourself getting to that kind of growth stage, to where you're going to want some help, even with Kingston growing up and whatnot? Like, do you ever feel like your productions could lead you to getting to that point of needing some help?
Yeah, he's 2.5, and hopefully he'll start cleaning cages.
You're like, I can wait another 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, so it definitely is something that I think about often, not because I need the help, but one, like I do travel a lot, and so it's nice to have someone put eyes on your collection on. But mostly, like, man, I look at what Bill has done, not for Bill, but for the other, like, for the people that he has come over to his house. Like, man, you look at Jose, you look at Brian, you look at Logan, you look at Alex. Like, those are all dudes that Bill has blessed with a ton of knowledge, a ton of experience. Like, dude, I remember before I had my very first green tree clutch, Bill had a clutch, and I knew it was hatching, like, or I knew it was going to get laid. And so I asked Bill, I was like, hey, can I come over and I just want to watch you pull the eggs.
I remember this day.
And he's like, yeah, just come pull them yourself. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? Like, no, like, and he's like, dude, I pull eggs all the time. Like, I pull carpet pythons, I pull ball pythons. Like, come pull these eggs. And so, like, but that's something that Bill has done so much for me and for so many other people. And that is a desire that I have, to bring somebody in to help. Like, I don't think I need the help. I don't, like, at this point, my collection is relatively manageable. My time is pretty flexible, that I can make it all happen. But man, to be able to pass on the knowledge and the experience and the stoke that I have to someone else, like, whether it's a neighborhood kid or, someone that listens to this podcast and is like, oh, dude, you're 30 minutes from me, I'll come drive to your house. Like, dude, that's freaking dope. And man, I'm on board for that for sure.
Well, you'd be a great mentor, Mark, and I appreciate the kind words. That means a lot coming from you, and you'd be a great mentor. I would definitely encourage you to do it. It's super rewarding, and there might get to be a time when you do need the help, because there was certainly times. Now I appreciate the help, but it wasn't too long ago where I needed the help.
Yeah.
So I'd encourage you to do it.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, like, living, I'm sure Patrick can feel some of this as well, but like, living in the same general area as Bill and keeping snakes is the worst. Like, it is so stressful, because Bill has this open door policy where like he opens the door, he rolls out the red carpet, like he says, you have the keys to the kingdom, come open every cage, I'll walk you through all this stuff. And for the majority of my snake career, it's like, dude, my snakes are my master closet. You're not.
My wife would kill you.
Yeah, like
would kill you.
Bill, have you noticed every time I leave your house, I need to do one last lap inside your room? Do you notice I always do that? Like, I just need a moment, and I go and I just I have my little piece with everything before I leave, because that's what that room is. That's what it does to you, man. It's and Alex, do you remember the time you saw Bill's Chondro's eggs for the first time? His first, like, and what that did to you to see Chondro eggs for the first time?
Yeah, a lot like Mark. Bill was like, "Go ahead and pull them."
Fucking epic.
I know. And it was a Jaeger biscuit clutch.
Wow.
It was a good day, because we weren't really sure what she was going to do. It was a small ovulation, and we all know how pessimistic Bill is. And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen here, but she laid, I think, like 16, something like that, good eggs, and we pulled it, and it was awesome. It was great.
But did he supply the gloves?
We were that was pre-glove.
That was pre-glove, wasn't it?
Whoa. Okay. There was a time, a pre-glove time. All right.
Hey, it was funny watching Ryan. It was funny watching Ryan Young in Bill's room that night.
He was more nervous than I was by far.
Looking at people who was like, holy.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and me with my background and the things that I used to the elements that I used to spend my time around. When I'm at Bill's house at a party, I'm nonstop. Like, let one of these motherfuckers try to steal something. I'm always watching when I'm in that snake room.
That's a bad mistake right there.
Well, dude, they just need to learn that Bill's other hobby is shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went today.
Yeah.
Over there today. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go shoot my gun.
Yeah. And he doesn't miss often. So.
No.
Well, you could also just take Ryan Glenn and put a security shirt on him and stick him in there. And
There you go.
motherfuckers, look, motherfuckers will not fuck around because they will not want to find out.
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
Whoa. Bill actually vets through me on who is actually invited to. First and foremost, there's none of that. Nobody who's always, I mean, that's why Bill's able to have the time of his life. You don't have to worry about nobody in that room, huh, Bill?
It's true, but every person on this screen has my back at those parties.
For
and
sure.
I know that any given moment, one of you knuckleheads or somebody else, well, if I'm not back there, somebody's back there minding the store.
Oh,
So,
for sure.
you know, I have a lot of trust in you guys. You guys really, Patrick and Mark and Alex all know my room pretty damn well.
Yeah.
So, you know, they know what's where and, you know, how things are maintained there. And so I really, when I have a big party or a big event, that's really the last thing on my mind. I'm more worried about, is there going to be enough food and beer and, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's very reassuring to have you guys there when it goes on.
Is MJ talking shit about Tex-Mex?
Or Texas sushi or whatever.
Dude, no, fuck that. I saw the last fucking spread you had at the little small gathering. All those goddamn steaks on the plate that
Ooh.
Patrick had.
Yeah,
I was
that was
rolling
Patrick's
over that.
good.
When we keep it small, we get to do little treats like that.
Now, okay, Bill, I have to ask you, you know, where do you feel the overall success is going to be with Alex coming this next year or two? Like, what's your, you know, because you've groomed this guy, man. So what's your prediction for Alex in the upcoming couple years, you think?
Well, I mean, obviously he's going to do, and he already has done really good things. And Alex is, you know, he's in this spot right now where he's just, I'm sure he's impatient because, you know, he's just right there on the cusp of starting to get more consistent production from, you know, what he desires. You know, I know he's produced, you know, clutch of sarongs, going with another clutch of sarongs right now, but you know, his interest is like my interest in really the freaks, you know, the anti Ryan Young animals, you know, just stuff that you would never see Mother Nature produce. So
Super much.
Yeah, he's right on the cusp of that. And so I know his collection. In fact, I'm going over there tomorrow and we're going to do some work at his place. But I know his collection. I know his animals that are up and coming. And I have zero doubt that in the next couple of years, 2-3 years, he's going to be busting out some good stuff of his own, you know, along with continuing to help me over here.
You want to know what country loves Texas? Especially all you guys? Germany, man.
Germany.
Yeah.
Shout out to D-Leg over there.
She's got some stuff coming.
She tells
Yes,
us
she does.
every day we hear it, bro. She cannot wait to get your guys' snakes. She cannot wait.
Yeah. I can't wait to go back to Germany. Germany's rad.
I want to go so bad. Never been
Yeah.
there.
I know I've got a place to stay now when I visit Germany.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what we're talking about right now. Oh, wait, I have to ask you now, you know, Alex, you know, somebody like Bill coming to your place, do you get a little bit nervous? Like, are you kind of like, you know, or are you pretty fucking locked in and excited?
I go to Alex's place not infrequently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, me and Bill know each other so well, you know, it's not, you know, I would say me and Bill talk to each other like just about every day. Yeah. You know, I don't get nervous at all about him coming. You know, I'm excited about him coming because he gets to see my collection and stuff because I'm always over there looking at his, seeing what's going on. So I enjoy getting him or showing him what's going on with mine.
You think you'll show me? You think you'll show me Gasanova when I come over tomorrow?
I was just about to say that.
He's locked up.
One.
He's locked up.
Yeah, he's behind a padded security code.
Exactly. And, you know, like you said, Bill, you know, I think, you know, I saw a picture of the sickness, you know, 5 years ago or whatever. And I was like, that's it. That's what I want to produce. And that mindset has never changed since then. Yeah. And I think that Gasanova might be the key to that. So
I think you're right.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, I have a couple other things as well that I'm pretty excited about, including some yellow projects. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Why don't you let the record reflect, though? You know, is Bill 100% on you only liking the freaks? Because I know you have some pure locality stuff you're trying to hit at some point, right?
I like all green trees. I like green, yellow, blue, black. I like them all. You know, I don't discriminate. So
what do you think Ryan Young's problem is
with me?
No, with designers.
I don't know. I feel like if everybody liked localities and it was uncool to like designers, he would like designers. So
he just turned off the show. He said, "Fuck this." He said, "I had enough."
No, he's still cranking out shots in the chat.
Yeah.
All right, listen, I got a wrap-up question for you guys. We'll go ahead and start with you, Patrick, because we know it's gonna be long for sure. Now, there's a lot of things that we can't really determine what the Chondro game can bring you, right? But what is one thing for certain that you're happy to tell someone that's new into the Chondro game? Like, you know, especially if it's somebody that's helping you out, you know, because you never know what it could lead to. But like, what's one thing for certain when it comes to keeping Chondros?
Man, I just had like 37 terrible, negative, cynical answers go through my head that I'll refrain from saying. But just from keeping Chondros, it's super, super rewarding and super addictive. So I always tell people, I love it when people are getting into it. I love selling somebody their first Chondro. Rico taught me a long time ago that a green tree python is absolutely suitable for somebody's very first snake because they are super easy to keep. And so that's what I tell people is I use the principle that Rico, also one of the most important things he ever told me, and I've said this so many times on this show and other ones. This was when I was breeding them, but when I was getting my first Chondro clutch and I was freaking the fuck out about it, I was on the phone with Rico and like drilling him with questions, and that dude was so generous with his time and very patient and very calm. And he said, "Patrick, they're just snakes. Stop overanalyzing it." I've said that so many times and I still think about it. And it was just a great piece of advice because they're in so many ways, they're just snakes. Like we kind of like put them on a pedestal sometimes. But so people get intimidated when they're first getting into green trees. A lot of people don't even get them because they're intimidated. I think, Billy, you said that's what your hesitation was in the beginning, was that you were intimidated by them.
Yeah.
And so I tell people that they're very easy. It's keeping them as a breeze. You just start with the right animal and it's a super rewarding thing. But most of the people that I deal with are breeding for the first time. I call them my first timers. I've long since lost count of the number of people that I've helped out with their first clutch. And when people are looking at that, this is where it's at, man. This is the most rewarding thing of everything I've ever done in keeping reptiles, is every single time that I hatch out baby green trees. I've bred all kinds of other stuff and they're all a blast. I'm expecting corn snakes this year.
Nice.
And
that is really sick.
Yeah, I'm showing the yellow because Mark is on.
Very nice of you, by the way, to pull out a yellow. That was very kind.
Yeah,
Amen.
I did that for Mark.
Amen.
You didn't have to.
I did that.
It is Blaze.
It's a Blaze, and so it has some red on it, so it's okay. And this is also for Ryan Young because this is a fucking super mutt right here. The pedigree on this thing is ridiculous, but from the very first time that I ever hatched green trees to just doing it again the other day, I think I'm at 24 clutches now or something like that, and it's the most rewarding thing, man. But I also tell people that you don't have to breed them. You can just keep and enjoy your green trees. You're gonna decide to breed them. Then we get into all that cynical shit that was coming to mind at the beginning. But
if you want to be safe about it, of course, don't breed them. I mean, if you really want a painless experience keeping chondros, then don't breed them. You're right. You're true.
Yeah.
But then also, there are also rewards too. You get what you get.
Well, just keeping them and enjoying them is super rewarding.
Worth it.
I would consider, even if these things were $300 a piece, I would still try to breed them at the same scale. And I can tell you that's true because I've been breeding them since they were $300 a piece. And so, it's just keeping them. One of the best things is when I, on rare occasions, have time to just slow down and just look at my green trees. What is cooler than walking into your adult room at night and all the girls are down in the front in that ambush position, ready to fuck shit up? It is the coolest fucking thing to see, man. I'm gonna, as soon as we're done with this, I'm gonna walk over into that room next door and look at my Beox that are ready to murder me.
Are a lot of your females active at night too, though? Like not just.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking about like just cruising the cage. Are you guys?
Especially the Beox. Especially the Beox.
Yeah, my bitches go crazy. Yeah. All right, Mark. What do you have to say? Especially if it comes to someone asking you, either a customer or someone at a show or a good friend, whatever. What's one thing for sure when keeping or breeding green tree pythons that you could tell them?
Yeah, so I'd say the for sure thing is like you will have heartache. Like that's just for sure. But I'll say the best thing about green trees and really just like reptiles in general is like, the phrase that people throw around a lot is it's all about the animals.
Yeah.
And that's BS, man. It's not. Like I don't buy it for a second because like, man, if it's just about the animals, then like lock yourself in your room and don't talk to anybody, don't show anybody, don't celebrate with anybody, don't share it with anybody, like don't send pictures other places and see like how long you can maintain that passion without other people encouraging you and coming alongside you and like saying all that stuff. And so, man, I think it's so much about the people in the hobby and being able to share stuff and get excited for people and put a snake in someone's hand and say, hey, dude, this is it. Like, hold your first green tree or, show me that first ball python clutch. Like, man, that stuff is sick. And so
the animals need the people.
I think the green tree community is what it. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. No, you're good, Mark. Sorry, there's a lag. You're good. You're good.
Oh, yeah. So, man, I just think the green tree community is, one of the best reptile communities out there. Like, man, there are so many good people in this community that want to help, that want to share, that want to bring others in, that want to, spread the knowledge that they've gained without gatekeeping it and, spread the stoke of this species. That's so cool. And so, man, that's the best part of keeping green trees is the people that are doing it alongside you.
And that's so true what you say, because, the animals actually need the people. So in the sense, without more people who are willing to do right by the animals, I mean, the animals are going to suffer by it, eventually. I mean, we all are going to need customers who are willing to do this shit, you know? So that's so true, man. It really is not just all about the animals. It starts with the animals. That's what brought us all here, right? But man, without the people, we can't continue. We can't push this on.
Yeah. Well, and like going back to something Bill said earlier, where he was like wondering, or he posed the question of how much have we learned and like how much have we progressed over the last 30, 40 years. And man, I think there were people, there were still dudes back 30 years ago that were having success, but it was a lot fewer dudes because man, it was just a couple guys that were really good at it. They had figured it out. And now, like, you see so many people having a lot of success with it, and that, that's freaking cool.
Yeah.
I hope that there's nobody stressed out about more people like coming into the hobby and breeding green trees. Like, no, we need more of that, and I hope that more people have success with green trees because they're sick species.
Yeah. Well said. All right. What about you, Alex? And then we're going to end it with the mayor. So what would you say with the, about 4 years keeping chondros now? You're on your 4th year, you would say, right? Does that sound
4.5? Yeah.
Right. And you know, when you geek out as hard as you've been geeking out, you do grasp a lot and you do learn a lot quickly, even within this 4 years. But you know, what's one thing that you could for certainly tell somebody when it comes to like keeping chondros? You know, one thing you feel confident telling someone, that's for certain.
Well, one thing for sure is you need to get yourself a good, solid mentor. You need to find somebody that, preferably in your area, that knows what they're doing and has been doing it, and that is reliable and you can get good, solid advice from. That's the number one thing that I would recommend, because that is just the most. That's going to be more valuable than anything else, in my opinion. You know, especially if they're local to you, because everyone here on this podcast I could call them and you guys would do your absolute best to help me out as much as you can. Even, MJ, you helped me out yesterday. You gave, the guy sending me the snakes the box.
Oh, Mauricio. Yeah, my boy. Yeah. Come on, bro. We're fair. That's little stuff, bro.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, you need to build connections. You need to have resources, because that's going to be your best tool in your belt is to have people in your phone book.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Exactly. It really is. It really is. You can have as deep as pockets as you want, but it doesn't matter, honestly. It really does not matter.
That's why when you don't have knowledge of chondros and you do with deep pockets, that could really be against you sometimes, because you think people with money sometimes think I just got my money and that's all I need, but that's not the case with chondros. Oh my God, that's not the case. Like you need really good people skills to connect with the right person that is willing to take you on. And the thing is, there's, like you said, there's so many people like Patrick, Bill, and Mark, and even you, Alex, who are welcome. Like you guys are trying to help people out. Like it's like you guys almost get off on it. You know what I mean? Maybe not Bill, but I'm just kidding. but I'm old. We get it, Bill. We get it. You got other things happening. But anyways, I'm just saying, we're in a different era now where it is easy to get the help, but man, there are still fucking bonehead people out there who don't think they need help, but those are the ones that learn. They learn right away, very quickly, sometimes aggressively. So that's a very good point. I was gonna call you Kevin. There's another Kevin Warren goddamn thing. But anyway, is that your relative, by the way? Do you have a relative in the chat? Okay,
they're not related.
Anyway, so yeah, what would you say on the other end of things? So what's another thing that's for certain you would say, Alex?
I would just say you need to take your time. You need to build your collection slowly. I guess I want to say, like, focus on one thing, one project in green trees, like high blue, high black, high yellow, or whatever it is. And if that's really what you're passionate about, then focus on that. Like, if you're wanting to produce blue chondros, don't buy high yellow stuff just because it's available, Right. I think a lot of people make that mistake coming into it, and then they just turn around and end up selling those snakes later on or whatever, or even worse, a better chondro comes up and they don't have the money, or they don't have the cage space for it, or whatever, so build your collection slow. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Just relax. Everything will work out in the end.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, Bill, end it in style, my man. Well, especially when we talk about deep pockets, I know you've had your share of people coming to you with deep pockets. Maybe people with zero knowledge of chondros and they just saw your post or whatever, but like, what do you tell people like that? Like, especially when they don't have the knowledge, and you kind of sense that they are already trying to figure things out just based off the money they're spending with you and chondros and other people and stuff like that.
Well, I'm kind of in the same mind frame as Patrick, where I do think that with just some basic reptile and snake knowledge and some common sense, that people can keep green trees as if not their first. Yeah, they're first, but maybe they've had some success. They know how to use a thermostat and they know what a rack is. And, I have the saying that if you get the right animal from the right person and put it in the right box, you have a very, very, very high chance of having success and contentment with green trees.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to learn that. But I figured it out. And now, I almost feel like, like a salesman, trying to convince other people that they really are that easy to keep.
Yeah.
You just really have to check a few boxes to keep them. And, just every person that I put a green tree in their hands for the first time, they're just, the responses are all so similar. They can't believe it's so easy. They can't believe it's not, trying to kill them. They can't believe that it doesn't get sick all the time. Everybody's just in shock, that it's, that they really are that easy to keep, if you just check some very basic boxes. So I think that's the one thing that's consistent. And I think through a lot of the stuff that all of us on the screen have done, really just through education, that the message, the word is finally getting out there. It seems like, that I don't get the same questions that I got, 10 years ago about green trees.
Yeah.
So, I think it's finally starting to come across.
Definitely come a long ways, huh, Bill?
MJ, I would like to add something really quick on the subject of, since we're doing the Texas thing.
Yeah.
I just want to, Texas has been a big chondro state for a long time. And I'd like to give a shout out to the guys that came before all of us, because it's been a long time. Dave and Tracy Barker started breeding chondros in the 90s, and some of these guys are still around. Ken Deal, Matt motherfucking Morris. Everybody knows the M and MMM is Matt motherfucking Morris. That's his real middle name. I love Matt. Sony. Hillary Webb, she's not around anymore. The late great Andrew Amon. Andrew was amazing and had a ridiculous collection. I've got one of his animals over here that's very, very, very special. But there are more people right now having success breeding chondros in Texas than ever, by far.
Yeah,
more new guys doing it. Lupe is fucking. How many times are we going to mention Lupe today? They're so just in the Metroplex. Yeah. Just in the Metroplex, we're killing it. But down there in the Houston area, there's so many great
shout out some of the others, like Julie and Todd Gavin. They had a killer clutch this year. Ruben hatched a killer clutch this year.
Yeah, shout out to Ruben.
Hatched a killer.
Yeah, that's true, man. Really true.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody said I love it being spread out. It's not just 5 or 6 people that are just producing a bunch of chondros. It's so spread out. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So watch us, fuck with us, watch what happens.
Well, listen. If you don't have a choice, it's a force to be reckoned with. Like here's the thing, it's only going to be getting bigger and bigger. But also, like you guys said, it's like kind of like what Bill said. If you got the right person to buy a snake from and it's in the right box, you're in a good place. I feel like if you live in Texas, keeping chondros with what's happening in the state of Texas, you're in a good fucking place. You're more likely going to be highly successful by moving to Texas and keeping chondros than you are going to be anywhere else, I feel like. I mean, statistically, that's what it looks like. Texas has it going on when it comes to being successful chondro keepers. That's a fact, man. Well, you guys are killing it. I got to say, man, it was an honor to have all you guys on here because you guys all inspire me. Even you, fucking Alex, you inspire me too, buddy. I appreciate all you guys individually, man. You guys are all special people. Let's start with you, Alex. We had just shy of 80 people tapped in for the whole show. So what do you have to say to everyone out there who supports everything that is going on here tonight, but even yourself, buddy?
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thanks for tapping in.
Mark. Mark Hager, say something to the people who came to watch you today and everyone else.
Did we lose Mark?
There's probably a lag, or he's maybe thinking deep.
I got him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. We'll see you again. Patrick, we'll get a lot more than a hand gesture from Patrick. Patrick.
You're going to get two fucking hand gestures from Patrick.
Did you fucking coach these people on their answers tonight, Bill? This is crazy.
No, man. I have nothing to do with it.
All right, Bill.
I love all of you guys. That's what I have to say. I love you all. Thank you.
And the mayor, what do you have to say, Mayor, to end it?
I will not be here next Tuesday. As you know, I will be preparing for the Reptile Talks. So you guys, if you know, come hang out in Anaheim. MJ will be there Saturday, and just hang out. I'd love to see some people come out and make that.
So that being said, for sure, we're talking Emerald Tree Boas next Tuesday night, just so you guys know. Okay, no Bill, we're hitting up Emerald Tree Boas 110%.
Tear it up, guys.
But guys, listen, please, Amazing Arboreals on Instagram, Alex Warren, Texas Chondros tonight's sponsor, which I appreciate your support so much, Mark. Thank you so much. But Texas
Mark.
On IG, Arboreal Obsession, an amazing account on Instagram to follow as well. And of course, Phoenix Reptiles, man. The best of Texas right here. Give it up for everyone right now. It's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you all so much. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Peace. All right, guys. Amazing episode. I appreciate everyone who tapped in for this special All-American Chondro Keepers of Texas. Appreciate everyone who tapped in for the first time. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You'll be reminded about all the podcasts that are being dropped here under the network. Cush's Corner tomorrow being dropped at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, so you don't miss that. And then finally sitting down with Dave Levison. Going to catch up, see what things are really smelling like in the hobby. Reptile shows, all the above, so be ready for that. But what an episode, man. I learned a lot tonight, as I expected from these guys. I appreciate everyone who tapped in. And please, go give all these guys a follow. Go follow their work, not to be slept on at all. And, a lot of you guys in the Chondro game I don't got to tell you to follow these guys. You guys already know, man. But listen, have a good night. Appreciate all the love and support. I'll catch you guys here tomorrow, and I'm out.